that's 55 Cherry Street. We filmed a lot right around up here.
I mean, you know when they make a movie that it's not necessarily, what you think, but when you see how close in proximity everything is,
yes.
It's like, in your mind, you're thinking this is across. So cool.
So when they came here, we were wondering if they were going to stay in a hotel, but look, we worked on a very, very small budget. And that's why we made money on this film for, $1 million or whatever they sold it for. So they always said that not a budget of $1 million, but basically it was less. So they didn't want to stay in hotels, so we could save some money. My friend Marsha, her parents were putting the house up for sale. So not only did we film the girl and her boyfriend in the bedroom and downstairs in that basement with the bar, but that's where everybody slept.
Really?
Oh, okay.
And that is this house right here.
That's it, where the porch light blinked.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh,
wow. It's still there?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And this is also, I think I'm sitting right on top of it actually, where we had the special effects of the in the street.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The manholes
That's the
exploding?
manhole.
Was that actually in the sewer that you filmed?
No.
Okay.
Everything was built, but the manhole covers. We did some special effects coming out of the manhole covers, like for a long shot, but then we also filmed miniatures of manhole covers.
Sure.
But here was an explosion of some sort because there were slugs everywhere and people continue to find slugs here.
Really?
Yeah. So in this house also is the night scene where her parents leave.
Yep.
And they're coming out of the driveway, and if you look really closely, they run over that curb right there.
Mm-hmm.
That was my father driving the car, and he was legally blind, but I was putting him in the movie anyway.
Oh.
So he ran over the curb and then almost crashed into the light that was at the end of a little bit away. Hi, how you doing?
Not bad yourself.
I'm giving a Slugs tour.
All right. That's it.
That's it,
That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Have you found any slugs yourself?
No, not yet.
Oh. If I find one, I'll bring one over.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
See you later.
All right.
No kidding. Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, let's see. The next stop is going to be the house of Ron Bell that started off the movie. And we did film the interior.
Right. Wow.
These guys stopped work, right? Can I go buy their stuff now? Or what? Yeah, we can. They're not even there.
So I know you got your slugs from another city. How did they have access to that many live slugs is my question.
We got our slugs from the north of Spain. We couldn't use any slugs here because there are none of those big, black, disgusting slugs. Right? Oh, they're still working up there. I thought they were done. All right, we're just going to turn around and go around. So I think it's Tarragona. I think that's where they got the slugs. Not quite sure. But there were like 15 enormous boxes of slugs.
Wow.
No slugs were harmed in the making of this movie. we returned all 15 boxes of live slugs to Tarragona.
Wow.
The very last slug. The night before we were going to film the title sequence in the studio, we had 3 slugs alive.
Wow.
And I made a little slug paradise for the little 3 slugs.
Oh.
And we had like little fronds in this sink, we made it all with little rocks and everything. It was like slug paradise. And the next morning there was 1 slug alive.
Wow.
That was the slug that made the titles.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. In the beginning of the movie, we were you can't touch slugs. I don't know if you know what happens when you touch a slug.
No, I shrivel.
Yeah, they
Right.
curl up and more slugs over here. Okay. You know, throw them down, wait for them to finish dancing. Okay, start shooting.
Wow.
So this was the house of one of my friends. I actually got caught skipping school in this house when I was in high school. Let me just see the side of the house. It's kind of weird going up it. This is it. This is Ron Bell's house.
Yes.
Oh, wow. No kidding. Wow.
And that was an interior shot of the actual house, okay?
Yes. Because it was all kind of deserted and he wasn't renting it, and so that's, you know, they could put a big sign there said Slugs filmed here, and they'd get more people renting that apartment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Ron Bell's house, and some of the pictures that we have are here with the sheriff's vehicle, because the sheriff, since my great-grandfather was sheriff of Wayne County for 50 years.
Oh, wow.
The sheriffs, I'm gonna have to turn around here. There's no good way to do this. The sheriffs were very, very accommodating to me, and they let us use one of their cars, and we
That's
rode.
great production value.
Yeah, we rode back. Oops, we rode back and forth. In front of the sheriff's office, that's most of the scenes of the sheriff driving around town. If you look through the window, you'll see it's almost always the same scene, and that's us shooting in front of the sheriff's office on Route 31.
Wow, man.
And I'll tell you where that is. When you go, you can go out Route 31, and you can go by the sheriff's office.
Very cool.
So a lot of people are like, did you film in Trombinos? It doesn't look like Trombinos. And I'm like, no, that was the inside of a restaurant in Spain. And
We thought it might be. It had the look and the feel of that, but
Yes.
we thought the exterior. You know, Dave had said, yeah, they probably just took a something in Spain and just put it over to make it, you know. But
Yes.
that's incredible that the exterior is here.
And that happens all the time. Exterior house, Kim and Brady's, what's his name, Brady's house, inside Spain. Exterior, the United States, inside Spain.
Wow. Yeah.
The only interior I can think of was Ron Bell's. So there is Trombinos, and it's open for lunch, and you could go in there if you wanted to, and just sort of look around. They've just redone the whole place over, but they melded the new and the old. And there's the courthouse. So when we're filming right there with the ambulance, that's where Lady in White was filming across the street.
Oh, right. Yeah. I'll have to check out the Lady in White. I've never seen it. Is it a horror film? Or
Yeah,
is it...
uh-huh.
Okay. Yep.
And it's quite well done, I'll say so myself. A couple of my friends worked on that, and so many people were extras in Lyons for that film. But we sold our film first. They had to do the festival circuit to sell their film.
Right.
Our film was sold. So this is the cut that didn't make it. This is Dobbin's drugstore, and the Bradys go in there to find something to kill slugs, and they talk with Winston Dobbins, who's no longer, his son runs it now, and New World cut the scene. And it's a shame because it wasn't really the only interior that we had that was United States, like a store.
Right.
And it was a shame that they cut the scene, and then I didn't know, and everybody went to the showing of Slugs at the Omen Theater, and the scene was gone.
Bummer.
It was awful. So the Omen Theater is where we watched our dailies, and we had a driver that went to Toronto every night to bring the film there, and then he would stay in the morning. He'd bring it back, and we'd watch the next. He'd pick up what he brought the day before and bring that back, and we'd watch that.
Wow. Serious commitment there like that, you know?
Yes.
That's great, though.
So the last place on our list is the high school.
Oh, yeah.
Because the little dairy that we filmed the kids eating in, not dairy, the little restaurant, is gone.
Okay.
They raised it to the ground.
sometimes when they do things like that. They put like a shopping plaza or something in its wake, or
No, it's just a parking lot.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the same thing happened with a theater in our hometown.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where was the Halloween party filmed? Was that like in the outskirts, or?
Yeah, that was the outdoors one, right?
Yeah.
That was filmed almost directly behind that restaurant.
Yeah.
And I'll show you where that is. Here's Lyons High School. It's 50. And we filmed a couple of things in here, the kids in the hall and stuff like that. Trying to think if I don't think we filmed any of the scientist stuff in here. I can't remember if he came here or not. I think that's all filmed in Spain.
Was he English or was that a dubbing?
No, he was English.
Okay. Yep.
I think. This is a long time ago. I'm
Yeah,
reaching
no
back quite a long way.
You guys should have like a reunion
I
or
know.
something.
I
Yeah.
cannot remember if that was a dubbing or not. I'll have to take a look at that guy's name. You can tell right there.
And we always wonder, sort of OCD-ish, but like, did he turn off his walkie-talkie deliberately, or was it still on and he just didn't notice? when he
Didn't
started?
notice.
There you go, Dave.
A lot of things like that. Also, right here. Oh, it's actually over there. I'll bring you over there too. So, anyway, this is the school, and there's just no regular hallway shots in there.
Yeah.
And the outside has been changed now. It used to be just a circle.
Are different generations aware of, like, you know, the cult phenomenon of Slugs and everything being shot right here?
I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I know.
You should put a sign out,
They
you know, by
should
the
put
welcome
a
to
sign.
Lyons.
You know, instead of the basketball player who, you know, doesn't come back here ever, they should definitely put 3 films now shot in Lyons. Okay, so that's the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, wow.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah, and we did film in there. And the end of the movie that wasn't here then. So that's the wastewater treatment plant. We filmed in there. And this bus garage did not look like this, but that's the end of the movie, this bus garage. So since the 80s, they've made it like a town, village, and school thing. But
Right.
back then, it was just like one kind of warehouse looking structure, and we had the end of the movie there.
Okay.
Then the real end of the movie was cut. We filmed it, but it never made it in. It just didn't look good with that mother slug.
It was like a giant slug.
Yeah, it was. Why one wasn't happy with that, I can't remember, but I think he said it just looked so fake. It just is better the way it ended.
We watched it last night. It's kind of a primer.
Cool! I'm gonna have to watch that. I gotta watch that Blu-ray. I tried to get it going on the computer today, and something wrong with the DV drive. My new Mac doesn't have a DV drive, so I've got to get an external drive somewhere and see the movie.
It's really like, we love it. Like, it's fun. It's well done. It's got that great charm to it, and it's just,
Yes.
you know.
So how did you find out that I was here connected with the movie? I thought you
We
came
didn't.
here just. Oh, you didn't.
Oh no, we were, you know.
Didn't go to RianEvans.com.
we decided to call around because that's kind of how we've done things, you know, for his site and everything. You know, we do articles and then interviews and everything, and then we thought, you know, I proposed the idea to Dave, and he was like running with it. On-site location type of things, close to our home right now.
Right.
And Slugs, Lyons, New York, not very far away, so just made some phone calls, and
To tell you the truth, it's been one of those kind of things where we wanted it to come here for years. And it's like, oh, you know, we can do that anytime. It's only an hour and a half away, and it just never gets done.
Right.
And finally, we're just like, let's do it.
That's great.
and we didn't anticipate you were actually being involved with the production. We didn't anticipate a, you know, this whole guided tour, but
Awesome.
incredible. So we thought we'd come up and try to, you know, find our way around as best we could, but
I was we should have worked this way. We should have worked the canal into it, because that was, it's right here, you know, but since it wasn't in the script, we just kind of forgot about it. But it would have been a great shot also to go down and film by the canal.
yeah.
And one was all about production value. You know, we're here, let's get everything we can. Which is why I said Lady in White filmed like 3 things here, and Juan and Pepe were all over the place filming, you know, just tons of footage downtown, the houses, you know, everything they could. And then, of course, Pepe was thinking about getting the rights to the second one, the breeding ground or whatever it's called. Yes. And they even had to come back. They would have had all this footage of the exteriors. It would have been always the party.
Such a cool town.
So there's still business here, which is why this doesn't look like a ghost town like the rest of small town America, because there's still business going on here for the county. And so there's cars and people walking around in the daytime, social services.
How far from Rochester are you here?
We're like an hour in the middle of Syracuse and Rochester. So, and you would have thought that we could have developed the film in Rochester when Eastman Kodak was there.
Yeah,
No,
you're right.
we had to go to Canada.
Wow, look at that bridge. That's great. Oh, is that a bridge?
It's trolley bridge. Yeah, when the trolley used to run through Lyons.
That's incredible.
So, here it was.
Oh,
That was it.
It was their little sign, and here was their little place, and then there was the party.
yeah, wow.
So I think the generator, you know, I think we plugged in to get some power from them. And we were going to go to one of the partying spots that I remembered in Lyons. But then we thought, why? This is a great backdrop. It looks like you're in the woods. Might as well just do it right here.
No kidding, wow.
Yep.
Never would have guessed it was so close to civilization.
Right?
So cool.
Looks so far away.
Yeah.
So we're right on Route 31, so we'll just go to the sheriff's office.
A lot of our favorite films came from New World Pictures as well in America. Actually, there's another one that calm film, The Monster
Turn on
Squad,
some of
and
this
all sorts.
air conditioning. We get back in town, we'll open that up. But it's getting pretty hot. It's 85 degrees.
Yeah.
Waxworks, that's a good movie.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff I haven't visited in so long. But in Spain, Juan's studio was on this street called Paradillo, and we called the studio we just called it Paradillo 60. the street. And it was a 3-story building with a, what do you call it, a warehouse attached. So the ground floor was the studio where we filmed and made all of the sets and miniatures, and like the garden where the guy chops off his hand,
Yeah.
that's all in the studio.
No kidding.
That's all built. And so the first floor were the offices. The second floor was the editing studio. And the third floor was the library and where we ate lunch.
It's all like really cohesive too. Like when you look at it, you just think it's all taking place right where you see the exteriors. It's really beautiful.
It is melded well. Interior and exterior, you can't tell. I mean, I think they did a great job with the colorization of the shots, because the colorization of when you develop film in Toronto, United States, to Europe is completely different.
Is that because of NTSC and PAO standards?
No. It's something to do with the laboratories. The copy is, coming up in a minute. The copy is more dense. The copy is less luminous, and the copy has more blacks and oranges, whereas we have more coolness, more transparency, more a better ratio between light and dark, and what is dense and not dense, I guess. So here we are at the Wayne County Sheriff's. This wasn't here when we filmed this second building here. So right here is where all of the driving scenes in the sheriff's car happen.
No kidding.
Everything. So when you're going this way, you see that. And
Wow.
when you're going the other way, you see this.
Wow.
So there's very few places where we actually got to film the sheriff's car that didn't have these two. Outside of Ron Bell's house, the sheriff's car was there, and we had the camera attached to it. So the sheriff drove it for us, I think, or something like that, up the street, so that we could get the sheriff's car going to Ron Bell's house and them talking in the sheriff's car. But then it came back out here, and our actors were able to drive it all through here.
No kidding. Wow.
That's great.
So what I'm talking about is when you see the exterior of Trombino's, for example, you think it's blue and all this because it's outdoors, and then you move inside and you see those shadows. If that would have been exterior Spain, that denseness would have continued to be there. Here in our film, it just looks like, oh, you're outdoors, it's more luminous, and inside it's a little bit dingy or whatever. That's the laboratory.
Right. I never knew anything about that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, watch a Spanish film.
I haven't seen a lot of Spanish films, quite honestly.
Don't watch an Almodovar Spanish film, because those are quite good. Watch another Spanish film. And now there's actually a Spanish TV series. I think it's about zombies, because I was interested in it.
Now you're talking, was it The New Adventures of Zorro? That was filmed in
The
Spain?
TV series,
Yeah,
yes.
that was on the Family Channel.
Yeah.
I watched that religiously when I was a kid.
I made every episode.
That is incredible.
That exterior was kept up year to year in about an hour and a half outside of Madrid, hotter than hell, in the summer, and we filmed everything there, interiors and exteriors.
Wow.
So it was a working village.
Wow.
Matter of fact, the year that I got married, in Spain, at that point in time, all the horses were dealt with the gypsies. The gypsy families were the ones that provided all the horses for the films. And so Zorro was no different. All those horses were gypsy horses, and the gypsies would come and they would make the horses do whatever. So my mother was Anne Collins, a very famous equine artist of racehorses from the 30s to the 80s. And so I told the gypsies that, and I showed them the pictures of her racehorses that she painted by commission for Vanderbilt and Whitney and all these people. And so when they came for my wedding, my parents were sitting on the Zorro set, and the gypsies came up and did a show with the horses in front of them, and then worked on that. Some years I worked as the assistant to the director, but his like private assistant, because I helped him with his computer and stuff like that. He didn't know how to use a computer practically. And one time I went over to his apartment and I'm like, what's the matter now? And he's like, well, look at it. And there was like a black box like this in the screen. And I'm like, honey, you have a virus. I hate to tell you this, but that's a virus. Oh, those were fun viruses back in the day. So then I worked as a third assistant director, I think. And I think I worked as a second, but not a first. I don't think I was first on Zorro. I think I was just second. And one time I think it was production secretary too. Because there were like 4 or 5 years of Zorro. I think 5.
That was a great show, though. I remember it growing up too, and
Early 90s.
yeah,
Yeah. Yep. And they had some great guest stars.
Oh, for sure.
They'd fly them in. They always used KLM because that was the cheapest. So if you fly KLM, you have to go through Amsterdam. You have to spend the night there at that point in time. So everybody came through Amsterdam. Little tidbits.
no. I lived in England for a time, and I remember watching Slugs on Netflix, the English version.
Awesome.
So they had it all the way out in England, you know.
That's awesome.
But yeah, KLM Amsterdam Schiphol. That's where I would fly through as well from Detroit,
Yep.
and then
Yep. I also made the movie Navy SEAL over in Spain.
okay.
I think that's released as Navy SEALs. I think they did SEALs. I don't know. With Michael Biehn and Charlie Sheen,
Oh yeah.
who, by the way, is...
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. We had to import his cigarettes from the United States. He couldn't buy the Marlboros on the street. They had to be an American Marlboro. And you could even buy American Marlboros in Spain, but no, you had to get them from the United States.
This has just been incredible. Thank you so much for all your help.
You're welcome.
The tour, it's just, this is like
Honestly.
way more than we ever envisioned.